ire àtòhun tó dára. Ọmọ òkàlìyé bọ́ sípò ẹ̀tọ́ rẹ̀. Ìwọ ni ìmọ́lẹ̀ gbogbo adúláwọ̀.
Mo kí gbogbo wa pé a káàárọ̀ níbi tí ẹ ti láǹfààní àti máa gbọ́ wa ní gbogbo àgbáyé. Orúkọ tèmi ni Ọláyọmí Kóìkì, èmi ni agbẹnusọ bàbá wa Chief Sunday Igboho. Mo kí yín níbi tí ẹ bá ti ní àǹfààní àti máa fẹ́ máa gbọ́ wa ní òwúrọ̀ yìí. Aago 4:30 ni ó lù ní ìlú Ìbàdàn níbi tí a ti ń mú àwòrán ìwá sí ojú yín. I say a very good morning to those of you that have joined us at exactly 4:35 a.m. today, the 26th day of April 2021. As you've been following the update that we done about some few minutes ago, I will just re-emphasize on some of the little of what took place. I will not go into so much details, but we will update everyone first and foremost that Chief Sunday Igboho and his family are all okay. Likewise, all the units and those that are working with him. Once again, there is nothing more than the federal government of Nigeria that have again done the best of what they know to do best. Threatening, trying to kill, kidnap. And that is what has happened at the residence of Chief Sunday Igboho's house. Just before 2 o'clock in the morning, there was a couple of gunshots. And when I say couple of them, quite a lot of them. And the security unit activated the emergency across all the units. And everyone was put on a full red alert. And that means there was a real danger as well. And the danger means that there was threat to life, there was threat to those that are living in that residence of Chief Sunday Igboho's house at Soka. We would like to inform the world of what the federal government of Nigeria have done. A lot of us might not understand what and why Chief Sunday Igboho is fighting for. He's not fighting for himself. Likewise, is he fighting for his family alone? He is fighting for the lives of millions of Yorubas, both inside the Yoruba land and outside the Yoruba land. And that is the offense between Chief Sunday Igboho and the federal government. The federal government have decided, using their military might, to come down to the residence of Chief Sunday Igboho's house for reason known to them and reason known to those behind it as well. Let us just give you some kind of a recap of some of the previous incidents that is also gone on record Because this is not the first time that Chief Sunday Igboho has been a person of interest to the federal government. The federal government knows that Chief Sunday Igboho is fighting on behalf of his people. And the worst that the federal government of Nigeria, in partnership with their crime Yoruba politicians, wants to shut down Chief Sunday Igboho from not speaking. They want to bring him down from not doing what is best for his people. The federal government does not want Chief Sunday Igboho to bring justice, peace, unity among the Yoruba people. And that is why he has been the interest of the federal government. Let's play back to some of the incidents that have touched Chief Sunday Igboho from the time he started talking about the Fulani that are killing his people, that have not allowed his families, and when I use the word his family, that means his Yoruba brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers, from making life meaningful for them. Chief Sunday Ade Igboho last year, October, said he will be coming out for the rally that was held across the world. And we all saw what took place, where more than 500 security operatives was brought down close to his vicinity at his residence at Soka. We have evidence and record of that. So that means since last year that Chief Sunday Igboho had interest asking for the peace and the unity among the Yoruba away from the killings that is taking place in the southwest. October 1st rally that was held across the world, it was not the same in Ibadan at the residence of Chief Sunday Igboho, where the whole DSS, Operation Boss, the military, all gathered and refused entry of those that wanted to go along with Chief Sunday for that peaceful rally last year, October. I am just taking you back to some of the previous incidents. And that went on record that a man that wants peace was not allowed a peaceful rally among his people. Let's fast track it forward. Since October 1st, his name has become a global phenomenon. His name has become an interest to the northern Fulani oligarchs that wants to keep him short. They've used different ways to plead with him. They've sent proxies. They've sent different people. I'm talking about since last year, to try to see if they can bring him closer to them so that he can keep his mouth shut. They've sent people to woo him with money. They've sent different politicians to speak with him. But he refused to be bought. He refused to be aligned with the fraudulent federal government and all those behind them working. So that means he's now a threat to the federal government of Nigeria. We are no longer Nigerians because Nigeria constitution has been void. But since Chief Sunday Igboho's name has continuously been ringing among the Yorubas and the non-Yorubas, and he has been a man that have stood his ground, that all he wants is that he wants his people to be free. But the federal government and the Fulani Hausa Caliphate does not want Chief Sunday Igboho to free his people. The federal government of Nigeria does not want Chief Sunday Igboho to free his people. And that means he has become a target. And that target means captured alive or killed if possible. The federal government knows very well that the Yorubas around the world prefer to believe in Chief Sunday Igboho than all the politicians across the Yoruba land. And that means his name has become a security for the Yoruba people. But this is what the federal government does not want, and a lot of the politicians. They don't want that because that is a big problem for them. In January, let's remind you, just before the end of January, Chief Sunday Igboho and his team went to few places to confront the terrorists within the Yoruba land. That was before January. We saw the videos and the evidence where they went to a very remote part of the Yoruba land where terrorists have been using that places to kill, kidnap, maim, destroy the Yoruba people. Then just as we were getting into the January 2021, he took a trip down to Ibarapa because there was a crime that was taking place at Ibarapa. There was a crime on the Yoruba people, his family. There was a crime that was happening in the Okeogun axis in the southwest of Yoruba land in Oyo State precisely. Chief Sunday Igboho, hearing the news of all these atrocities, again, let us also remember that the international law, because we do not believe in that fraudulent 1999 constitution, according to the international law, Chief Sunday Igboho have the right to defend his people because his people's life has been in danger. His people's life has been put where everyone have now become a target. So he took a trip down himself with some of his team. He took his trip down to Okeogun. And I'm sure every single one of us witnessed, saw what took place down at Okeogun. When one man living there have become a threat to lives and properties. One man have become his own government in Okeogun axis, and that is no one more than the Seriki of Igboho. I hope I got it right. The Seriki of Igboho have been living within us for more than 3 decades. But out of those 3 decades, out of those 3 decades, lives have been a big threat to our Yoruba family and friends living in that axis. A lot of you remember when a video surfaced online of a Yoruba woman that went back to her farm and witnessed the atrocity on that farm. I will remind you what she said. Seriki, what did you call me? Seriki, oko mi lo baje yi. That was the voice of that woman. I'm sure some of you remember that. And again, there's record for that as well. That video went viral. That video touched a lot of us. That why has it become a problem for the Yorubas on our land, not in the northern part of the country, to go to the farm? Why has it been that so many Yorubas now cannot make it to the farm? That video also brought the attention of not just myself, but millions of you around the world and inside the Fulani Caliphate government known as Nigeria. Because there was nothing called Nigeria until we were amalgamated in 1914. So that means the voice of that woman also popped up to the ears of Chief Sunday Igboho. If that was not enough, the one man that was touched was Dr. Fatai Aborede. And that was why Chief Sunday decided to visit Igboho. On the visit to Igboho, he stopped at the father, the late Dr. Aborede's house. He promised the father and the mother that justice will be served. Justice will be done. For a man that have PhD, came back, set up a mechanized farming, and he was butchered to death by the Fulanis in that axis. But there was a man known as Seriki that have been the intermediary between people that are kidnapped or people that are missing. That was a person of interest to Chief Sunday Igboho. Chief Sunday Igboho decided to pay him a visit. Chief Sunday Igboho visit to Seriki Gongon also was a kind of conversation that people thought was never going to happen in the history of the Yoruba people. Chief Sunday Igboho gave Seriki 7 days. 7 days. 7 days to vacate that land. If otherwise, by the time he comes back after 7 days, Seriki will know who is Chief Sunday Igboho. The government, both the state and the federal, wanted to protect the terrorist man that is called Seriki in Igboho, that have created havoc, crime, destroy millions of lives and properties. And as at the time of the 7 days approaching, I flew into the country and I witnessed that 7 days of the notice that was given to Seriki Igboho. That took me and Chief Sunday Igboho and all his hard-working team that are working tirelessly day and night to Ibarakpa. The day of Ibarakpa was nothing more than another serious situation. And that situation meant that the world was watching. Was Chief Sunday going to go back to Ibarapa? Was on the lips of millions of us. And he decided to make it back. But Seriki, that was given the confidence to stay put by the fraudulent Fulani government, just like they've done with all the terrorists that are killing many across Nigeria. The same terrorists that are done so much injustice to millions of Nigerians today is also why Seriki thought it will be secured. I am just giving you a kind of a timeline before we get to what happened at the early hours of this morning, so that everybody can know that Chief Sunday Igboho and the federal government of the Fulani Caliphate is not just today. So we know that the federal government of the Fulani Caliphate will wake up in the morning and deny that they have nothing to do at about 2 a.m. when they wanted to have a siege. And there's enough evidence at the previous video of so many gunshots. Those gunshots you were hearing were the gunshot of the federal government that sent their security operatives to the residence of Chief Sunday Igboho. And that means there was threat to life. There was threat to those surrounding Chief Sunday Igboho and his team. But because of the gallant team behind Chief Sunday Igboho, they were able to suppress the situation. The situation lasted for about 2.5 hours, but they were pushed back. Igboho took place. Seriki left. Let's fast forward. While that was not enough yet, it was just the same way at the early hours of one morning when Chief Sunday Igboho's old residence went in flame. Again, it shows that people that wanted him to keep short thought by bringing down that building will make Chief Sunday Igboho go away, fade away. He refused to. He refused to leave. He refused to stop because he knows that the only way he can save the lives of his people is to stand shoulder to shoulder and defend what he believes on. But the federal government of Nigeria and their cohorts does not want that. After the fire at his house, we thought it was going to go quiet. Until few weeks again after that, just like an ordinary individual that have the right to travel and move around whenever he wants to, Chief Sunday Igboho does not need the permission of the Fulani Hausa government when he's traveling, when he's going out, or when he's moving from one end to the other. But the federal government does not want that. Again, they wanted to shut him down. But this time around, it was a kind of a different shutdown they wanted to play on him. Again, evidence have it as well. And that evidence means just on a Friday, on his way to Lagos for a meeting, the Fulani government had a different plan. The Fulani government have a different agenda. The Fulani government had an helicopter parked somewhere within Ibadan. And what was the purpose of that helicopter? Was to capture Chief Sunday Igboho and take him away to an unknown location. But what the federal government does not know is Chief Sunday Igboho is not just a man because of who he is. He's also loved by millions of people. And that millions of people that witnessed that atrocity that took place on that fateful Friday afternoon right at Lagos-Ibadan Expressway at a very sunny day where, again, they were in their numbers. And they were not just in their numbers, they were with heavy machine guns. And we saw that in the hands of some of those DSS that came, that wanted to again either kidnap, and if that fails, maybe to kill him. Because by killing him, we means the Yorubas wouldn't have any other person to rely on. By killing him will mean that Yorubas will become more fearful of the Fulani Hausa government that is presently running the affairs of the country called Nigeria on a fraudulent 1999 constitution, backed by their own Yorubas and some of the Southeast that wants to keep us together by fire, by force, even though we know that the amalgamation that was brought together to join us was a fraudulent one because none of us signed for that. The whole incident that took place on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, where we saw Chief Sunday Igboho took off his clothes because he was stopped, not because he was not recognized. His name was mentioned that, where is Chief Sunday Igboho? And he answered back that Taniwo, Tanye, because one of the DSS knew he was coming in that vehicle. And that means they wanted to take him away to an unknown location. But as the creator and the person of Chief Sunday Igboho, Chief Sunday Igboho is not just an ordinary individual. His face is around every part of the world. And those that saw that that was Chief Sunday Igboho started coming down from their vehicles in their numbers. And we saw that video because that video is still where it is. For those of you that might want to go back and check that record. People were coming out. Nigba, we will not allow you to take the man that loves his people. What then happened was that Chief Sunday will continue his journey to Lagos on that fateful day. And that meeting was held and he came back. But the Fulani Hausa fraudulent federal government operating on the 1999 fake constitution came out to deny that they were never involved in that siege. Because that was again another siege, S-I-E-G-E. Because they were waiting for him to get closer until they wanted to accost and take him away. But that never happened. The federal government denied it and say again, even though there was enough evidence with their vehicles, with faces, but it was denied. And since then, we thought it was over until another unknown soldiers, again in the military uniform, came very close to the well-fortified building, well-secured CCTV building that can monitor a miles distance of those that might think that they can make it down and create havoc to Chief Sunday Igboho and all his team. And again, we were able to pick those two uniformed military, and they told us they were coming out of their barracks. There were more than two, but we were able to pick two out of them, plus two civilians. Plus two civilians. And we were able to show them to the world and the Yorubas around the globe. Again, as usual, the Fulani Hausa government, operating on the fraudulent 1999 constitution, came out and denied. They came out to deny the atrocity. They came out to deny the atrocity. And we talked again. It was over. But the federal government again does not want Chief Sunday Igboho to continue to talk. And another Fulani was sent down to his mother's house. But again, they were captured. And we showed you that in the video. But what has happened today? Because we have our own intelligence, we were able to know well in advance the approach of the federal government coming closer to the private resident of Chief Sunday Igboho's house. If you follow the broadcast that we produced at about from 2 hours ago, there were a lot of gunshots, multiple gunshots. And those were the job of the federal government. Coming to the resident of Chief Sunday Igboho's house. Was that a courtesy visit? Or was that just a visit to kill Chief Sunday Igboho, or to kidnap him if they can, or to create havoc and damage? And for good 2 hours, if not 2.5 hours, there was a kind of confrontation between the team and the federal government agent that came across to that resident. The situation currently is still on a high alert, even though we've been able to push them back. But as I speak right now, we are still on a high red alert. But before today, we saw again that a letter was sent to the resident, and we refused to take that letter because history reminds us that a similar letter was sent by the previous government of the day then that killed Delegiwa. And Delegiwa, till date, we've never got justice for him. Till I speak right now, no one has been found guilty of the death of the late brilliant journalist Delegiwa that was killed. So we didn't take that letter. And ever since then, there has been so many rumors that the military will come. We know because we also have our own intelligence. So you don't have to tell us that the military will come. We also know that the military wants to shut down Chief Sunday Igboho from not asking for the right of his people, which is allowed under the international law. We are aware of that well in advance before anybody can tell us. And that means we are much more prepared. And that is why we have continuously prepared day, night, afternoon, because we know that they will operate more in the middle of the early hours of the day than during the afternoon. Because everybody knows that the operation that carries out in the afternoon will also maybe have a bit more havoc or have more eyes to pinpoint and say, these are the people. But in the early hours of the night, with people that are face mask and weld ham to their tooth, carrying one of the most sophisticated weapons in the middle of the night at around 2 a.m., these individuals have not come to play. These individuals in the military uniform have not come down to joke. These individuals in the military vehicle have not come down to joke, and they've come down to kill and destroy. We are aware of these prior to today, and that means there are more rehearsal in preparedness for them. We might not tell you for Chief Sunday Igboho's safety where he is at the moment, likewise his family, but I can tell the whole world that Chief Sunday Igboho is fine, and all the units around him are doing very well. For those of you that might want to come down close to that vicinity in the morning, I would advise you for now maybe to stay away because of the security surrounding the whole area. Security have been increased, security have been beefed up, because those that came with heavy machine gun are ready to kill, and they are not joking. Those that have traveled to come down with heavy firing that we can all hear from the previous broadcast have not come down to joke. I would like to say to those of you that are watching us at home and the Yoruba diaspora outside that Chief Sunday Igboho is doing very well. It's fine. I won't say more than that. Likewise, his family. I am the spokesman for Chief Sunday Igboho, and every details of what I've said is exactly how it has occurred. And looking at my time here, It's just coming up to 14 minutes past 5 in the morning. And you can see that we have been on air for almost 3.5 hours when the whole siege started. Should we be concerned as Yoruba people? I would say no. Should we be worried? I would say no. Should we be scared? I would say no. Should we remain focused? Oh yes, we will remain focused. The federal government of Nigeria and the Fulani Caliphate government wants to put fear in the heart of millions of Yorubas, especially those at home. But I would like to speak directly to every Yoruba sons and daughters today that there's nothing for you to be scared of. There's nothing for you to be worried of. And there's nothing for you to be panic. Yorùbá ló sọ pé kò sí n tó ń bọ̀ lókè tí ilẹ̀ ò gbà. I will repeat that again. Kò sí n tó ń bọ̀ lókè tí ilẹ̀ yóò lè gbà. There is nothing coming from the top that the ground cannot sustain. We understand that millions of you might be concerned. Millions of you might be worried. Millions of you. But what we will say is, we remain focused. We remain absolutely on the same that Nigeria must come out of Yoruba land. Because Nigeria was forced on every single one of us. Nigeria was put on us by those that believe it was in their own best interest. Nigeria was forced on every Nigerian. Nobody was a Nigerian. Nobody. It was the amalgamation of 1914 that brought us all together. And since the 1914, there have never been peace in the land. Go back to history. Since the amalgamation that joined us together with the remaining part of the country, there have never been peace in the land. Since the 1914 amalgamation, the Yorubas, the Igbos, and the remaining tribes have never known peace at all. Peace have been taken away from the land. And coming forward for the 1960 independence, we all knew after so many years that there was a different hidden agenda behind it. And the hidden agenda is what is playing out in the 21st century after 100 years of amalgamation. And that has been the danger, the havoc that everybody has faced. Those that believe that they can hold us all together might not understand that it might be good then for the goose, for them, by bringing us all together in one unit. It might be better for them in 1914 to bring all the tribes that do not speak the same language, do not have the same culture, and not on the same land, have different identity the careless then in 1914. The careless then in 1914. And they decided to bring the forced marriage on everybody. And since then, till date, there have never been any hope, peace on the land. But as the 1914 amalgamation that brought this unity called Nigeria today, where we are all now forced to be called Nigerians because you believe that a Nigerian passport identifies you as a Nigerian. We were forced on that. Nigeria was forced on us. We never signed for Nigeria. And that amalgamation has now not just expired, does not work in today's 21st century. It might be good then, but it is no longer good because we are now being killed by terrorists across the Yoruba land and also the remaining part of the southeast. And if the federal government, in their own thinking, still believe that the unity of Nigeria is not negotiable, we will tell them that the unity of Nigeria has now become a threat to lives. We will use all the diplomacy routes, but we will prepare for the worst case scenario. And the worst case scenario means, just like we saw at the early hours of today, if we have to defend ourselves, we will do so without taking any order from the international community or any other countries around the world, because life is already a threat. And we will do everything that we need to do. And what we are saying now is, every one of us should know that threat to lives of the Yorubas is not just Chief Sunday Igboho. It is also threat to life to millions of Yorubas around the world. You might not literally be living in Nigeria, but that does not mean threat to life does not affect you. Don't look at it as those at home are the one facing the burden. Every single Yoruba sons and daughters, you are also facing the same burden, regardless of your new status outside the country. Your status outside the country only gives you a little bit of privilege. A little bit of privilege that might be different from the lives of the Yorubas inside this monster unity called Nigeria, where every single body knows that we have been marginalized. Genocide is currently taking place. Not today, it's been going on for years, where more people, regardless of their faith, have been killed. Whether you are from the traditional side, whether you are a religion from the Christianity or Muslim, or you believe none at all, more people have been killed. So that means if you, on the other side of the globe, think that we on the ground, because of the gunshot, are the only threat to the federal government, you are also a threat. Because for every time you get into that fraudulent Muritala Mohammed airport, you will be harassed, you will be detained, you will be accused of being a Nigerian. And that means your own threat is right at the airport. You might literally say, well, I am not coming home. because there is no home to come to. That is good. But the threat to your life still means, as you are sending money home to the fraudulent country under the fraudulent 1999 constitution, under the fraudulent 1914 amalgamation, under the fraudulent Fulani Caliphate, for every dollar you send home, Fulani controls that dollar, while you are working tirelessly for that dollar, while you are working tirelessly for that pound sterling. But the Fulani man decide on every single dollar because you refuse to do the right thing. So we shouldn't at any point think that the danger that we are currently facing in today's 419 Nigeria is affecting every single one of us. Don't look at it as my problem. If I don't say a good morning to anyone, I will say good morning to my mom that have stood by me. I can see her on the timeline. And I say good morning to the rest of the people that are watching as well. Let us remember that the fight for freedom from the fraudulent amalgamation is the fight for every single one of us. This is not the fight of a political movement. We are not fighting to overthrow the government. We are fighting because the government of the 1914 amalgamation have overthrown the Yoruba people from their land. We are not fighting to take down the federal government. We are fighting because the 1914 amalgamation have taken us away from who we are. And we all must understand that. We have people that keep saying, let us give chance and room for democracy. My question is, how can you find a democracy when we were merged by a country that decide on our behalf? Can I, Olayomi Koiki, or those of you watching me, decide on how the country that amalgamate us in terms of who we are? Can I go to Great Britain that brought us this problem and say to them, I want to change your name from Great Britain to another name and merge you together with Ukraine? Can we merge Great Britain with another country? So if Great Britain can come out of EU conveniently without no bloodshed, even though they were meant to be part of that system that set up European Union. But even though they were in that union, at no point were they using EU currency for a very long time. Yes, they were working together in terms of different areas of lives. But if I wanted, before the EU breakaway of the Great Britain, I wouldn't go to Germany as at last year and spend a British pound. I will have to change that pound to European money because EU would not accept that pound sterling from me. That shows that Great Britain knew what they were doing by not allowing their full currency to be used in the EU format. That means Great Britain knew that the situation in terms of their unity between all the European countries was becoming a stressful one for them, for economical reason, for security reason, for so many reasons known to those in the power of the Great Britain. My question then is, Why then should people of another more life nisin? I am live currently now. So many later more live. I'm ready. I'm giving an update. Please do not call yet. It is the update of what took place at the residence of Chief Sunday Igboho, where the Nigerian federal government also at about 2 o'clock in the morning sent their security operatives to kill, maim, destroy anything close within that range. My question now again is, why should we continue to wait on Great Britain to divide Nigeria, knowing that the unity is what they want, even though the unity has been marginalized since 1960 based on every evidence that we have? And a lot of you can go back to history and understand that evidence. The unity that joined us together in 1960, that unity is no longer in existence. That unity has been destroyed, crumbled by the military. That unity has failed millions of Nigerians. That unity of 1960 is why some people are hoping that you can change the narratives of Nigeria by bringing in the best problems that you cannot solve. The problem of Nigeria is the 1914 amalgamation. It's not just the 1999 constitution. That is just coming after the problem of this 1914 and the 1960, because we all knew how that unity was forced on us by Great Britain. My question then is, are we going to continue like this for another 200 years or another 100 years? Do you believe that we should continue on this journey of this unity brought on us for another 4 years because some Yorubas wants to become the next president? Not looking at the history that brought us together to this danger. Not looking at millions of people that were forced to be called Nigerians by Great Britain. Because the reason why you and myself are known as Nigerians today is in the hands of Great Britain. We mention Lugard all the time, but Lugard was giving a report back to Great Britain in 1914 when he amalgamated us together. Lugard at no point made that decision on his own. Lugard could have been thinking in a different way, but he proposed then, as at 1914, which is quite a long time ago, to his masters back in Great Britain, that would it not have been better to merge these three protectorates together? And that is why we are facing the havoc, the killings, the atrocities that is taking place on our land today. So if you are still of the mindset that you can change the mindset of the Fulani man that is now controlling our resources, you will have to wait another world or another life to do so. The reason that is because that unity is in the hands of one tribe, and that tribe alone means they are not ready to let go the power. They believe that they are born to rule, and that means myself and you, we know at no chance, not because we want to be the president or we want to be the governors or we want to be the senator. That is not what we are talking about. What we are talking about is the land that belongs to us, while the 1914 amalgamation was forced on us, is now being encroached by the terrorists around the Yoruba land. And they are not ready to let go because they have the backing of the Fulani Caliphate in the government. Should we be scared of them? I don't think so. There is nothing for us to be scared of the government. And there's still nothing for us to be worried about. We will continue what we are doing best. Our rally will continue across the Yoruba land. We will continue to monitor the situation on a daily basis. We will continue to prepare the minds of our people that Nigeria is not our country. Nigeria hired inside the Yoruba land. The Yoruba land is the country, but Nigeria was forced on every single Nigerian. And you must understand that. There was nothing at no point, at no time, that we say we wanted to be Nigerians, because Nigeria was never a country. We have the Yoruba kingdom for thousands of years until Great Britain destroyed that empire for their own selfish gain. Until Great Britain decided that we, the Yorubas, are not worth as a human being, and the remaining tribes, by joining us together with those that have now become a bloodsucker on our land. For those that have now taken the message of false hope to our people. And let me put this on record, that the federal government is making use of all the Yorubas politicians, from the governors, senators, House of Representatives, and all their cohorts, to create fear on us, because those individuals I've mentioned are giving the federal government hope that they can calm us down, they can do and undo on us. And we will continue to use this medium, especially with incident of such that took place at the early hours of today, that as a governor, you don't have any right on us anymore, because that constitution has been void. As a sitting senator, you are only representing your family and yourself on behalf of your family and yourselves. As a sitting House of Representatives, you are representing yourself and your families, and maybe those of your friends that lick your ass. You are not representing the Yorubas anymore, because we, the Yorubas, have said that 1999 fraudulent constitution is void, and the 1914 amalgamation that was forced on myself and the rest of millions of Yorubas, even if it has not expired, we have expired it already. Because that amalgamation, I never signed for it. You never signed for it. None of us signed for that amalgamation. We saw the atrocity being committed in Southeast by the federal government. Don't be deceived that it is not the same atrocity that might be unleashed within the Southwest in the next couple of days. And that means we must all remain vigilant. That means we must all remain focused. That means every single one of us, it is not about calling me. It is about you doing the right thing at this junction to defend yourself. It is not about you asking by disturbing me. It is now for you to consult among yourselves and defend yourself. Don't take this lightly. Don't take this as a joke. Don't take this as just something being said and you've just listened and walk away. This is not that time. The time is fast changing. Situation is changing on a daily basis. I will use this medium again to advise all our present governors according to their own constitution, because they are not representing us, that we, the Yorubas currently on ground, we will hold rally without taking any consultation from our kings, from our ballets, from any one of their fuckery. We are not going to take any consultation from them. We will move rally from one end to the other. And if it means that we are confronted, even though we have told every single one of our boys and women that are going for the rally to remain vigilant, but to not go and push in front of any security operatives. But if any security operatives at any state, up to Kwara State and Kogi, Ondo, Osun, Ekiti, and Oyo, and the Lagos, that a lot of you believe that we cannot shut down, threaten, push us, we will fire back hard on them. We will go very hard on every security across the Southwest, not just in that particular state. To be for one is to be for, I'm sure you know what I mean. We are not threatening them. We are only telling them mo lè sọ̀rọ̀ púpọ̀ mo lórí live broadcast, okay? Kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀? Ẹ má béèrè pé in tó ṣẹlẹ̀ kọ́ ló má tà tẹ́ bá fi máa bọ̀ ní kẹ́ máa bọ̀. Ẹ má béèrè kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀, okay? It's not the time for asking those questions now. Asking all these stupid questions. It's not the time. We haven't got the time for that now. Once again, we put every one of our team on high alert. I say it loud and clear that any security operatives that pushed us, we will go hard on you, regardless of whether you are Yoruba, Igbo, or the Fulani Caliphate in the uniform. We will move around every day while we continue with our rally. You will not arrest any Yoruba man or woman campaigning for what they believe on. If you do so, we will take down the whole building. The whole fucking building, we will take it down. And this is exactly what we're going to do. It has got to that stage that we will hit hard, because you will not threaten us on our land. We put every single one of us that are watching. Don't ask me what to do. Ask yourself what you have to do. Don't call and say, what next? If they can make attempt to want to kill Chief Sunday Igboho or to kidnap or whatever intention that they have in the middle of the early hours of this morning, that means we raise the bar to defend ourselves wherever we go. We will defend ourselves with whatever is in our possession. We will defend ourselves so that we will be killed. If the country wants to go in flames, let it so be. Because the country is already at flames, where Fulanese terrorists have kidnapped, killed innocent Nigerians and no one says anything. The international community have kept mute. The international community are looking as if nothing is happening in the country called Nigeria. The international community are closing their eyes because of whatever of their own selfish gain. And all I can say is, we will do whatever that we can to protect and to defend ourselves. And defending ourselves is the right thing to do, because we would rather defend ourselves than allow the fake government in power. This is not about APC or PDP. This is about Yoruba people that have been kept in bondage for a very, very long time. We will continue with the peaceful way as we are doing and the diplomacy, but I am just putting this message across that none of our young men and women going from town to town, speaking to our people, telling them the reason we should come out of Nigeria, and they will not be threatened. But if they get to be threatened, that means we will also have to do what we have to do. At the moment, the country is already at war. For those of you that keep saying you don't want to go into a war, we are at war where unknown gunmen are killing innocent lives, while the terrorists are picking up 1, 10, 18, 14, 44, 50, 80 innocent lives in a country called location Nigeria. But nobody seems to be caring, because that does not have anything to do with you. I will not pick so many calls, but you have to do, and that's why I've come back on again to give advice that every one of us should not be bothered to be asking what is happening. Whatever is happening is what we've told you. I am the spokesman of Chief Sunday Igboho, and that means I have told you exactly what has happened. And I'm also using this opportunity as my own name, Olayomi Koiki, that we should all be prepared for the eventuality that you could also be a target. And that means you must also do whatever you can to support your own people, whether 1, 2, 3, 4. Situation can change, as you all saw it at the early hours of this morning, when the federal government sent their security operatives at about 2 a.m. today, either to kill, kidnap, or threaten us. And that also means that we would defend with whatever we can within us as well. On that note, I would say a very good morning to those of you that have joined us. And we will continue to update you all as we go further. Fáǹfààní àwọn èèyàn tiwa tí a ti ń sọ̀rọ̀ láti bí wákàtí kan, tí ẹ lè má fi ẹ̀mí máa bá òyìnbó tí a ti ń bá sọ̀rọ̀, tí a fi ń sọ̀rọ̀ látẹ̀ǹkan. In tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ní aago 2 òru èní, òun ni pé ìjọba Nàìjíríà tí a mọ̀ sí federal government, wọ́n rán àwọn èèyàn wọn wá. Kí ló rán wọn wá ṣe láago 2 òru? Ṣé kó wá pa bàbá wa Chief Sunday Igboho ni, àbí kó wá mú ní àyè, àbí kó wá dá méjì àwọn tó wà ní àyíká wọn? Ẹni bá lọ wo fídíò tá kọ́kọ́ ṣe ní gbàrà, ẹ máa gbọ́ òró ìbọn tó ń dún pẹ̀kẹ̀kẹ̀kẹ̀kẹ̀kẹ̀kẹ̀kẹ̀kẹ̀ lára àwọn ìbọn tí àwọn tí wọ́n kó wá tó fi wá bá wa jà. Àwa fi ń yé gbogbo ọmọ káàárọ̀ òjíire níbikíbi tẹ́ bá wà, lọ́kùnrin lọ́bìnrin, àsìkò tí a wà yìí, àsìkò tí a máa lọ dé ṣòkòtò wa dáadáa, nítorí pé a kì í mọ̀ in tí à ń sọ yìí ó sì lè máa lọ bó ṣe ń lọ from the diplomacy side of things. Tí bá sọ pé diplomacy, that means pé a ṣì ń bá àwọn ìlú kan sọ̀rọ̀ pé a máa lọ, ẹja lọ, a fẹ́ lọ, kí làwọn ìgbésẹ̀. Àmọ́ tó bá di pé ó di gbàsgbòs tí ò tètè lọ mọ̀ pé gbàsgbòs fẹ́ dé, kó má lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ ní òjijì. Ìyẹn la ṣe ń sọ pé ká so okùn ṣòkòtò wa dáadáa. Mo ti rí ẹ̀gbọ́n mi àtàtà níbẹ̀, Báyọ̀, tí mo mọ̀ pé kí ilẹ̀ tó mọ́ wàá kọ̀wé lé lórí. Ẹni bá mọ̀wé kọ ẹ̀kọ́, a sì máa issue statement tílẹ̀ bá mọ́ dáadáa. Bọ̀ gbogbo ohun tí ẹ gbọ́ lẹ́nu mi pátápátá, èmi ni agbẹnusọ bàbá wa Chief Sunday Igboho. Gbogbo ohun tí mo dẹ̀ sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ kàn ló ṣe rí. Bẹ́ẹ̀ bá lọ wo àwòrán tá kọ́kọ́ fi wọ̀nyí, ẹ rí pé èmi wà ní inú ilé, but nǹkan ṣẹlẹ̀ rẹpẹtẹ lẹ́yìn ta tí bọ́n ń dún rẹpẹtẹ. A suppress àdúpẹ́ f'Elédùmarè. But n ti máa sọ fún gbogbo wa ni pé ní wákàtí lásìkò yìí, kò ń ṣe pé kẹ wá máa pe aago mi pé Kóìkì kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀, n tó ṣẹlẹ̀ lẹ ti gbọ́, kí la máa ṣe, n tó lúkàlùkù bá lè ṣe òun ni kó lọ ṣe sí agbègbè ẹ̀. Àwa lè defend bíbá dáadáa. Ǹjẹ́ wọ́n lè defend ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ ní Kwara láàárọ̀ yìí tí wàhálà bá dé? Ǹjẹ́ wọ́n lè defend ẹ̀ ní Ògùn tí wàhálà bá dé? Ǹjẹ́ wọ́n lè defend ẹ̀ ní Lagos? Nítorí pé bí wàhálà bá dé tán, kí kó má dàbí pé apá kan ó lọ́lẹ̀, apá kejì ò lè lọ́lẹ̀. A ní rí jù báyìí lọ lórí ètò ti àárọ̀ yìí. Bí ṣe máa ń sọ, ogun ó ti wà ní àyíká wa. Àwa ni àìtí mọ̀ pé ogun ti dé. Ogun economy ó ti wọlé, àwọn èèyàn ò lè jẹun. Ogun insecurity, ó lè rìn láti ìlú kan sí ìlú kejì kó má fi sọ́kàn pé ó ṣeé ṣe pé mọ́tò tí ó ń lọ níwájú àti tinú tí ìwọ wà, Fúlàní máa dá dúró wá gbé wọnú igbó lọ. Mo kí gbogbo wa níbi tí ẹ ti láǹfààní àti gbọ́ wa. A ní rí jù báyìí lọ. Bó bá ṣe ń lọ, a máa update wa. Orúkọ mi lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí ni Ọláyọmí Kóìkì, agbẹnusọ bàbá wa Chief Sunday Igboho. Ó dàárọ̀, ẹ káàárọ̀, ẹ káàsán, nítorí pé ìlú tó lúkálukú wà, àsìkò ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ ni bó ṣe jẹ́ nìyẹn.